In this video, we will be training how to create a specification based on the JIS template. We will open C Drive CAD Support CadWorx Project Specs, JIS generic template. We will be creating a new template for a new client, so we will save this as, and instead of generic template, call it new client training. So I have a new client, and their spec is called generic 50. So this is going to be a generic class 150. And if we double click into it, we will notice that the components have no long description or no short description, although it does show up a long description and a short description. We are using the project format from the database to automatically populate the long and the short description. Let me show you how that works. So in the specification itself, we have all these settings and we have a long description format, and it's showing blank, nothing there. There is nothing filled out. So what does that mean? Well, it says it's using the project format. So if we go to the project itself, we have a long description format. And oh yeah, here it is. So all of the components, if not overridden, all the components will take a description of the component table, the letters SCH for schedule, then in the database, this main schedule in the schedule table, then I've typed in comma ASTM, and then it's also taking spec in the material table, so it's taking database stuff, and then I've hand typed in a dash, and then the grade of the material table. But if you look at the caps, I've overridden that, so it doesn't have the grade, doesn't have the schedule. It doesn't need the schedule in the middle, so I've overridden some of these to make sense with the different components. So this long description format is automatically populating all the values here, and this short description format, which is the group of the specification table, is automatically populating the short description. So if we look in the generic 150 long description format, it's blank. Short description format, it's blank. We also have a material assignment. Now this spec will change. The flanges right now are currently ASTM A105. Well, our spec has changed that so that our flanges are A105N B16.5. So I'll just change the material of the flanges, and with that database change, all of our flanges now are pulling the A105 material. Let me show that again. So I don't know if I have anything else to change. Well, for the flanges, in the material assignment, you just select the changed material and it automatically populates the long description changes. The schedule is set up here. So if you notice, the piping has schedule set up for the pipe nipples, and this pipe nipple, which is an optional component. We've overridden the schedule so that we can always be able to get to a schedule 160 pipe nipple in the smaller sizes. But the schedule, you pull that off your sheet, and we can change 2-inch is going to standard, let's say for example, and up to 24 is standard. So the schedule is set with the schedule assignment, and the material is set with this material assignment. And everything is set. For the most part, everything's derived off the database other than these valves. These valves will have to be hard typed in. There's just too many variables. Although the short description is pulling off from this project short description format for the valves. What do I have in the valves? Group of the specification table. You can see it right here, valves. That's what the short description is. So, hey, we're done. We've just created a generic 150. So let's expand this out and let's copy this and let's make a generic 300. This is going to be taken on component class 300. This will be long description. Format's going to stay the same. And the material is, yeah, we're going to keep that. Material's fine. Schedule. Let's say the smaller stuff is an extra strong, which is fairly easy. But if you select multiple and right click, you can change more than one at a time. Let me show you that again. Schedule 10, schedule extra strong. So we've just changed the schedule, the material we've left. We have some schedule or some class 300 stuff we have to deal with. So let's see what happens in the flanges. This 150 stuff is not allowed by spec, so we will have to remove that. The class 300 stuff is classified as optional. We need to change that from optional to the original. Make sure you hit the apply after anything you do here. Oh, the orifice flange can stay optional because we do not want to accidentally pick that if we can help it. And the gaskets, you'll do the same thing. You'll remove the 150s, change the gaskets to not optional anymore. And the valves are a little bit tricky. Socket wall gate valve is probably fine. It's this class 150 is no longer allowed, but instead of deleting it, I'm just going to modify this to be a flanged 300. I'm going to change the description down here, and it probably has a different item code that I don't have time to look up right now. And the start and the end is going to be class 300 to match up to our flanges. That's kind of a critical step. And I'll show you that again in the check valve. So what we did is we changed the data table to a flanged 300 pound, changed the description, and changed the component class. There's a start and an end, but we'll say both of them are 300, the start and the end. Make sure you hit apply. And that is it. We have just created a generic 150, a generic 300, which I just saved in the wrong spot. Well, let me show you what I just did. So I copied the generic 150, but I forgot to bring the generic 300 up here. So I made all my changes in the generic 150. Fine. So this one is actually supposed to be 300. And since I saved it, I can just change this to 150. And hey, there's an error. But it's a very common error to make, so I'm glad I showed it to you. And we can drag this above this to reorder. And hey, there you go. Have fun.